We're back in the Holy Land after a week spent in the Netherlands. Of course, I was there on a fundraising trip for the IDF, for Standing Together, as well as talk about Israel to a group that is literally fighting an unbelievable fight in Holland. It's a little bit depressing to hear how anti-Semitic there are things going on there, but I guess those are just the kinds of facts of life that people have to face when they're living there. But there is a group, at least one, I'm sure there are others, I'd love to hear about others if you're there, so let me know if you're also involved. But there's a group named Friesland for Israel, and they're basically people who are pro-Israel in northern Holland, the northern Netherlands, and they are fighting a really difficult fight there with all the BDS and the radical Islamic movements there in Holland. And they invited me to come on a fundraiser for the IDF, as well as to talk about Israel. And it was really an amazing, amazing event there. We were up north in Friesland, really amazing people. But, as I'm sure you've read on my posts, there were some really depressing things going on today in Holland, which is not what I wanted to talk about, but just to mention, you know, we were told over and over again, don't wear your kippah, don't maybe tuck your tzitzit in. You know, obviously, and we weren't told this by people who were against us. We were told by people who were trying to protect us. But I guess they don't know who they were talking to. In any case, I'm about to put out a post right after this video. And I can only promise you that the post that is published right after this video, and when I get the picture I want to put up, will blow your mind. You know, I wrote it with a lot of emotion and a lot of... you'll see the emotions when it comes out. So after this post, give me 10 minutes and I'm going to put out another post, a written post with some pictures on it. I strongly suggest you read it, and as well as read it and share it. All right, let's talk about this week's Parsha. This week's two Parshiot. We're reading two Parshas, Matot-Masei. Two Parshiot going on this week, a double Parsha. And, you know, it's all about Israel. Now, you know, someone could say, hey, Ari, you're biased. You know, you're just a crazy Zionist to keep on talking about Israel. No, that's really what it's about. The whole Parsha, the two Parshiot are about Israel. It's about the wars, and it's about splitting up the land of Israel to the Jewish people. Now I challenge anyone out there, certainly a Muslim, to show me in his Quran or anywhere else where it talks about the land of Israel the way that we talk about the land of Israel, and the Jews talk about the land of Israel. There's no such thing. That's why I keep on saying that we are the indigenous people to the land of Israel, because at the end of the day our whole culture is surrounding it. So what happens is 2.5 Shvatim, 2.5 tribes are on the other side of the Jordan River. What we would call today Trans-Jordan, okay? Where the the occupying powers of the Hashemite kingdom is sitting on the area they call Jordan, which is known as Trans-Jordan. It's the other side of the Jordan River. And it's part of the land of Israel, the biblical land of Israel. Now, there are 2.5, Yitzchak, how you doing? There are 2.5 tribes that wanted to settle that part of the Yarden. The problem is the rest of the nation was going over to fight a war on the other side of the Yarden against the people here in the land. And they said to Moses, look, we want this land over here. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to, it's Reuven, Gad, Chatisha, Menashe. He said, listen guys, we're about to fight a war over there. Okay, even if you're really asking for this land for good reasons, you can't do that. Now, what does Moshe Rabbeinu say to him? It's an unbelievable statement. He said to him, you can't make this mistake. What's the mistake that Moshe Rabbeinu points out to them? If you settle the land over here and you don't cross the Jordan River to help our nation fight over there, you're making the same mistakes your ancestors made. Now, what was the mistake that he was talking about? He was talking about the mistake of the spies. Really weird connection that he makes. He says to the half Menashe and Gad, he said to them, if you settle this land over here now, you are making the same mistakes that these spies made back then. And the question is, what's the connection? The spies didn't want to come into the land of Israel at all. Why are these 2.5 tribes, why is Moshe Rabbeinu deeming them making the same mistakes that the spies made when they blasted the land of Israel, when all that these 2.5 tribes want to do is settle the other side of the Jordan River? So the answer is brought down right in this week's Parsha. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to them, if you don't cross over, Bnei Israel, the nation of Israel, say, oh, maybe they don't want to cross over because they know something about the land. In other words, just you not crossing over, those 2.5 tribes, just you not crossing over and fighting the war that we're about to fight in the land of Israel will maybe convince the nation that perhaps the land of Israel is not what God promised it would be. And therefore the same mistake of the spies can happen again, which is a really crazy idea, because they weren't even thinking that at all. But the actions, God says, Moshe Rabbeinu says to them, your actions will leave consequence. If you do that, whether you actually believe in it or not, right? You might not actually believe that you might actually be saying that the land of Israel is not good. But if you stay on this side of the Jordan, while the rest of the nation of Israel will be fighting on the other side of the Jordan, Moshe Rabbeinu says you're sending a message. Even if you don't mean to send that message, you're sending a message that perhaps the other side of the Jordan River, the land of Israel, is not as holy, as good as God says it was. And, the reaction of Reuven and Gad, Menashe, is really, really. And the first trait of the IDF soldiers in the Bible, what do they say? It says, no, Moshe, you got the wrong message. We are not sitting around here waiting for our nation to go over there, and we'll be sitting here without a problem. No. What we're going to do is we're going to build houses here. We're going to leave our wives and children on this side. We're going to go fight. Not only are we going to go fight, we're going to be the head of the front lines. Hechatzu, I'm going to go in front, be the chalutzim, the ones in the front lines. Okay, and we're going to go front line, and we're going to fight for the land of Israel and for the nation of Israel. And when we win the war, not if, right? The if was a mistake that the Meragli made, right? The Meragli said, well, we shouldn't go up because we might lose this war. These 2.5 Shvatim were not at all talking about losing a war. He said, and when we win, it's going to happen. We are going to go back on this side of the Yarden. We're going to go back on this side of the Yarden and settle this land. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to them, okay, if that's the deal, that's what you're planning. So if you come out with us and you fight the wars of Israel and you're on the front lines like you promised, then the lands that you're asking for on the other side of the Jordan will be yours. And of course they did, front and center, front lines. And again, this is exactly what IDF soldiers are doing. You see, in our basic lives, sometimes we try to get out of responsibility, right? It's too dangerous, I'm too tired, it's too light, it's too dark, all the excuses in the world. The 2.5 tribes that took the front lines, those excuses did not exist in their lexicon. They didn't even know how to make those excuses. They said something very simple. They said, we are going on the front lines, irrelevant where we're going to be. We're going to be there for Israel and the nation of Israel, and the land of Israel. And the Israel Defense Forces, I mean, really, the truth of the matter is, Israel Defense Force is not a title, it's a description. And these 2.5 tribes were really the first IDF soldiers, the first IDF officers, the first IDF soldiers who said, no, you got the wrong message, Moshe. No matter where I am in the world, no matter where I am, that's what they were saying, no matter where we're settling, right? We're going to be in the front lines of the IDF and winning this war which is for the nation of Israel, in the land of Israel, and by, obviously, the power of Hashem, by the God of Israel. And at the end of the day, they did. Now, here's the real great thing about this week's Parsha. All those people who call me settlers and call other people settlers, I'm not insulted by that word. In fact, it's an honor for me to be a settler, okay? Jews were not settlers for 2,000 years. It's an honor to be a settler. How do I know it's an honor? I don't care what they mean, by the way. I don't, right? But why is it an honor for me to be a settler? Because in this week's Parsha that we're going to be reading in synagogue, literally tomorrow, it says when you come into the land, there are several things you have to do. And one of them, you have to settle the land. You must settle the land. If the land does not get settled by you, it will be taken over by your enemies. This is an unbelievable. In fact, the Torah says a little earlier on when it's talking about the settling the land, it says, I'm not going to kick all your enemies at one time, one fell swoop, because it'll be too fast and you will not settle the lands, and wild animals will come in and destroy you. So we see that not settling of the land of Israel is what causes damage. That's what causes damage, not settling the land. That is what causes damage. We see it's going back to even Avraham Avinu, Abraham, right? It says, you got to walk the land. If you're not walking the land, it's not yours. You can call it Israel all you want. You can say, my land, my land. If you're not walking the land and you're not settling the land, it ain't yours. Bottom line. And so this week's parsha, this week's portion that we're reading, literally, v'itnachaltem ba, settle the land. Now, what does it say about the enemies in the land? Not the non-Jews, the enemies of Israel. It says you must kick them out. You must destroy them. Not because they're this or that religion. No, because they define themselves as the enemies of Israel and the enemies of Hashem and the enemies of God. Whether it's idol worship or whether it's, trying to cause the downfall of Bnei Israel. Last week we read the story of Pinchas, who had to kill two people who were acting in a ill fashion when it comes to their relationships. And this week, Hashem says, get me a group of top-notch guys together. Top-notch. And we are going to take revenge on the Midianim, on the Midianites. We're going to take revenge on the Midianites, not because we're angry with them, because their goal is to annihilate Israel. It is not an attack. We're not going to attack them because we don't like them. We are going revenge. Now, if they would fix their ways, there'd be no reason for revenge. But as long as they're trying to destroy the state of Israel, not taking action against them is wrong. It's sinful. It's immoral. It's cruel. It's dishonest. It's everything bad in the book. Because at the end of the day, if you're not taking care of in a, war kind of way, of those who want to destroy you, you're actually strengthening them. So in this week's parsha, we have those three things going. Number one, we're talking about the traits of the IDF, of soldiers, who are going the front lines to put themselves on the line in order to protect the nation of Israel and the land of Israel. Now, for those of you watching, or wherever you're watching from, and will be watching from when this is played over before Shabbat, wherever you are, America, England, Australia, South Africa, China, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Okay? You have your responsibility. We're here. The men and the women of the IDF are here. We're fighting the fight. We're putting our bodies on the line. We're putting right in front of the bullets. And we're here to protect, and we're proud to do it. But those of you who are not here, and you can't go into the IDF, you can't, protect the land, there's something you can do. First of all, we said you cannot sit back quietly. We said from this week's parsha clearly, you cannot settle there when the men and women of the IDF are putting their lives in the line. And again, standing together is exactly that purpose. What we do at Standing Together, besides doing these amazing programs for the soldiers, is we give a chance for people like you all over the world to join us. And the link is right there. We're going daily. I'm back in Israel. I got to get in high gear now. We're going daily back to treating soldiers with everything from cool refreshments, drinks, and ice cream, and pancakes, and letters from all over the world. And we need your help. It's very simple. We need your sponsorship. So hit that link right down there and help me sponsor these amazing campaigns that we're doing. Let's go a little inwards towards Israel now. And this is a big problem. I'm writing a post. I'm telling you right now, those of you who are listening right now, give me 10, 15 minutes after this post goes out. I have a written post that I'm doing on Facebook that will blow your mind. I wrote it on the plane on the way over, thinking about what I saw there in Holland, thinking about what was told to me in Holland, about the dangers of anti-Semitism. And I wrote a post that my fingers were just typing on its own. My heart was just pouring out. Being at Anne Frank's wasn't, and again, I appreciate there's somebody, I can't remember their name, who corrected me on certain facts of Anne Frank, and I appreciate that. It wasn't their house, it was her father's office, and they hid in the upstairs attic, I think it was for 2 years, until the Nazis found them, and then eventually they were taken, not to Auschwitz, like I said, and I thought it was, but rather to Bergen-Belsen. They were killed there in the area. But why is Anne Frank famous? We had 1.5 million Jewish children who were murdered brutally by the Nazis, and their helpers, and everybody else who stayed silent. So what's so special about Anne Frank? The specialty is that Anne Frank let us in. She wrote a diary, and we were able to see the daily living of a Jew under fear. A Jew who was living at the whim of another nation, the whim of other soldiers and other diplomats who did zero, and I'm talking about every single country in the world, including the great United States of America, who flew over the train tracks to Auschwitz and did not blow them up, because diplomacy took over morality. And when I say never again, this is what the post is going to be about. I mean never again on all levels. It is not a statement, it is not a hashtag, it's a way of life. And I'm urging everyone, as soon as I finish, give me 10 minutes and the post will be up. Please read the post, please share the post. I'm saying, and I don't usually say it's probably one of the best posts I've ever written. And there are lessons to be learned from what I saw in Holland this past week. An amazing, beautiful country, by the way. And I want to shout out to the king there and to all the government members there. You are in trouble. And if you don't wake up quickly, it's not going to be good for anyone. And you're in trouble not because only the refugees are causing havoc. You're in trouble because as a Jew, me, as a Jew 75 years later who comes to your country, to tour your country, I get warned by my fellow Jews not to work in Amsterdam with my kippah on, or with my tzitzit out. You're in big trouble. And if you don't do anything about it, you haven't moved in 75 years. If you don't open your mouth right now and oppose the clear anti-Semitism that's going on right now in your country, King, the end result will be just as your problem. And it will be your problem. And then you'll go put out a video of how bad you feel about it in another 70 years. Don't wait. Don't wait. You have a beautiful country. You're losing control. You're losing control. Now, to bring it back to home a little bit, back to my own country, those of you who heard over the last couple of days, there's been a big explosion on the Temple Mount. Now, often when this happens in Israel, the Arabs start something, they murder someone, we react. And then somehow, the order of events somehow gets mixed up in the press. And they turn Israel into the offender. So let's just go over the details here, okay? For 1 second. And everybody, appreciate if you'd share the video. Right now, invite some friends in. Last week, 2 Druze Arab policemen were brutally shot and murdered by Muslim terrorists who came right out of the mosque, who were given guns inside the mosque. The Mufti and the Waqf in the mosque are talking constantly about annihilating physically the people of Israel. Israel's given control over the Temple Mount to these murderers, to these terrorists. Last week the soldiers were killed, and Israel went up there to look for weapons, and then they put up metal detectors. And the Muslims, the radical Muslims, went crazy. Violence, Molotov cocktail bottles, the middle of Jerusalem, stones, everything. And they said they're offended by the metal detectors. Here's my advice to all of you Muslims who are offended by the metal detectors on the Temple Mount. There are metal detectors in the Israeli parliament. How about you leave there also? How about you not go into the parliament? Isn't that a great idea? How about in the Social Security offices where there are metal detectors on the entrance, you don't collect your checks? How about that? But again, I have no problems with these Muslims, these radical Muslims. They're doing what they believe in. I got a problem with my own. Because just yesterday, the Secret Service in Israel is having a debate with the police. Let's take down the metal detectors. It's causing havoc. Ipor, thank you, and others, thank you for sharing the video. Let's take it down to calm the situation. You don't take down metal detectors on people talking about annihilating your nation and think it's going to calm the situation. Are you nuts? Have you lost your mind? Unbelievable. But thank God Netanyahu did not take down the metal detectors. I would have lost all respect if he would have. And the metal detectors are up. And today, there was huge amounts of demonstrations. Somebody got killed in the eastern side of Jerusalem. I don't know if it was by IDF, but you can be sure they're going to say it was IDF. And it's over metal detectors. Now let me be perfectly clear about this. Any Muslim out there, I'm talking to you right now, right to you. Any Muslim out there who's a peaceful person, who wants to go pray, you should not only not be opposing those metal detectors, you should be applauding them. Because if you are truly an enemy of the radicals, then you should be a target just like I am. And if you're not a target, you are not different from them. Bottom line. So, number one, too bad. You don't want the metal detectors up? Don't pray there. Number two, Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu governed people of the Knesset. What is it going to take control over the Temple Mount? I refuse to take off my kippah and take off my tzitzit walking through Amsterdam. Was it dangerous? That's what they say. I don't know. I am not taking off my tzitzit and my kippah. I expect the same action of the state of Israel. You may not give in to the terrorists. And don't talk to me about Zionism. They're screaming in the street, Itbach al Yehud, slaughter the Jew, not slaughter the Zionist. So if we do not take control of what's rightfully ours, historically ours, religiously ours, and nationally ours, you cannot expect the people who hate us to take us seriously. Forget metal detectors. We should be taking control. We should be kicking the Waqf out to Lebanon. What, the Arabs are going to they're going to go crazy? Here's a newsflash for you. They want to destroy us. The fact that they're not trying is because they're scared of us. So, no, you don't have to be worried about them, because if they wanted to try to destroy us, they would have done it already. We're talking about how many billions, or if it was 650 million Muslims are in the Middle East, and we have, 6 million Jews? If they weren't scared of us, they would have fought a war. They have a good reason to be scared of us. Besides all the brave IDF soldiers, we got God in our corner. I say it all the time. Allah must be a Zionist. We keep winning the wars. So I'm calling to the government of Israel. I'm calling to my Prime Minister, Chalutzim, like it says in this week's Parsha, go out, Chalutzim Lifnei Am, in front of the nation, be brave. Uphold that idea of trait of being brave and going to the front of the nation. Take over the Temple Mount. It is ours. You're afraid of war. What do you think? What do you think? The Muslims don't want to attack us now? This kind of hesitation, this kind of giving into terrorism, grows terrorism. It's got to stop. It's got to stop right now. I've been getting messages from the old city of Jerusalem, from people who live there, who asked me if I can possibly bring some ice creams and stuff for the soldiers there. I was away, but I will be doing it over this coming week as well. I'm sure things are not going to be going calm this week. So all the donations that are going to the link that I'm putting up right now will be going to them first and foremost. So I'm asking everyone, please, to hit the link that I'm about to put up right now and donate whatever you can. Again, they're putting their lives on the line. They are the human shield, quote unquote. They are the Iron Dome before the terrorism. All I'm asking everyone to do is give whatever you can. You can give as little as $18. You can sponsor a whole unit if you want, $1,800. You can sponsor a whole day, as much as you can. Okay? All right, everyone. I'm wishing everyone a wonderful, wonderful weekend. God bless everyone, and Shabbat Shalom from the holy and beautiful rolling hills of Judea, Israel. If there are any questions, I'll take them right now. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. And again, 10, 15 minutes from now, I'm going to be putting out a post that I would appreciate if you shared. It must be shared. Okay? All right. Have a good one, everyone. Shabbat Shalom from the beautiful rolling hills of Judea, Israel.